You're telling me the baby has his exact same eyes? Laura Mitchell didn't answer. Her gaze stayed locked on the stroller, on the tiny girl with soft curls like hers, skin a delicate caramel tone, and those rare greenish eyes, the kind you don't see easily, the kind only one man had, Lucas Cross. Some secrets don't stay buried, not when they have a face, and certainly not when that face is the living reflection of a billionaire CEO who vanished before sunrise. Laura never planned any of it. Not the night, not the man, and definitely not the child. And yet, there they were, 11 months later, a woman, a baby. And now the man she never expected to see again was standing right in front of her, staring at the stroller like he'd just seen a ghost. No words, just silence. And those eyes. Have you ever held onto something for so long it started to feel like it had a life of its own? That's what motherhood had been for Laura. She didn't hide Olivia because she feared the man who fathered her. She kept her quiet because she knew the second the truth surfaced, everything would change. She would stop being just Laura. She'd become the woman who had a daughter with her own boss, the one who didn't speak, the one who slipped away quietly like her story didn't matter. But it did, because she didn't just end up in bed with just anyone. She ended up in bed with Lucas Cross, the reserved millionaire in the tech world, known for his lockdown stare, his closed-door meetings, and employees who never knew if they were about to be promoted or replaced. He was a man surrounded by rumors, cold, brilliant, dangerous in his silence. But not that night. That night he was human. It happened during a snowstorm. One room, one bed, a power outage, whiskey, laughter, and a conversation that slid into vulnerability. She could have pulled away, she didn't. She let him in, body and heart. By morning he was gone. No note, no number, no goodbye, just a key card left on the table, and a pain she couldn't name. 3 weeks later came the nausea, and then the truth hit like thunder. Lucas hadn't just left the room, he'd left a daughter behind. Would you scream? Would you cry? Would you stay silent? Laura did none of it. She stood there, still professional, unreadable, while Lucas stared at the baby and the delicate lines of her face, an impossible mirror of his own. His voice cracked. Is she mine? Laura blinked, and the world tilted. The story begins in Vancouver, inside a luxury oceanfront hotel built like a modern glass fortress. That's where Laura had been hired for her first big job in public relations. That's where executives whispered about the boss with equal parts respect and fear. That's where Lucas Cross, distant from the press and feared by his team, made his silent return in the middle of a crisis. Laura had never seen him before that night. Up until then, he was just a name at the bottom of an email. Until she was handed a single room key and told there were no others left. What happened next wasn't planned, but it wasn't forced either. And what came after? Well, that's what you're about to find out. This isn't just a story about a CEO and one night. It's a story about what happens after the storm, when a woman chooses dignity instead of exposure, when a man faces a daughter he never knew he had, when second chances aren't given, they're earned. Because sometimes the most powerful stories don't begin with "I love you." They begin with "Why didn't you tell me?" Have you ever kept a secret because the truth would hurt too much? Tell us in the comments. Welcome to Hearts Rewritten, my dear family. And if this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This journey is only just beginning. The lobby smelled like polished wood, gleaming glass, and that expensive hush only luxury hotels know how to hold. Laura Mitchell crossed the dark marble floor with steady steps, a tablet secured in her left hand and a travel bag hanging from her shoulder. She'd reviewed the crisis report 3 times on the plane and twice more on the drive from the airport. The numbers were right. The projections were solid. All she needed now was a quiet room in Vancouver, just a few hours of silence to prepare for tomorrow's presentation. This was her first corporate retreat as the lead PR strategist for Cross Dynamics. Without question, the biggest contract of her career since opening her own agency. Laura hadn't come here to deal with surprises. She'd come to deliver results. But something was off. She sensed it the moment she approached the front desk. The receptionist's smile was too polite, too tight. "Miss Mitchell," the woman greeted, typing too fast. "We've been expecting you." "Great," Laura replied, sliding her ID across the counter. "I just need absolute silence for a few hours, and an extra set of towels." The woman's fingers stopped on the keyboard. "About your room, we had a last-minute adjustment." Laura's brow tightened slightly. "Adjustment how?" "Because of the blizzard, several flights were cancelled and corporate reservations overlapped. Unfortunately, you'll need to share a suite tonight. Laura blinked, certain she'd heard wrong. I didn't agree to share a suite with anyone. I understand, the receptionist rushed, lowering her voice. But every alternative has been exhausted. It will only be for tonight. In the morning, we'll move you to another room. Laura folded her arms. With who? A second of hesitation. Mr. Cross. Lucas Cross. The air seemed to compress around her. Lucas Cross wasn't just the CEO, he was the company. The name whispered behind closed doors. The reserved billionaire who built a tech empire and then vanished from the press. No interviews, no recent photos. Almost a corporate myth. Laura had never spoken to him directly, only to assistants, only through email, and now she was expected to share a suite with him. She glanced out through the hotel's glass facade. Snow fell heavy. Her car was already gone. Fine, she muttered. I'll take the couch. The executive floor was silent, guarded by frosted glass doors. The suite number gleamed in brushed metal when Laura approached. She pressed the key card. The lock clicked. Soft jazz drifted through the room. She stepped in and stopped. He was already there, sitting on the sofa, sleeves rolled to his forearms, a tablet in one hand and an untouched glass of whiskey in the other. His light brown hair was slightly disheveled, not careless, not calculated, just human. His eyes lifted slowly from the screen and settled on her. Greenish, cold, precise. Wasn't expecting company, he said, his voice deeper than Laura had imagined. I didn't ask for this either, she replied, setting her bag against the wall. He tilted his head slightly. Laura Mitchell, the PR strategist. That's right. I've read your reports. You're ahead of schedule. Good to know my all-nighters are paying off. A brief silence. There's only one bed, he remarked, nodding toward the bedroom. I don't snore. If you snore, I'll survive. I'll take the couch. Perfect. The suite was elegant. Clean lines, pale wood, a flawless king bed in the back. Laura grabbed a blanket, kicked off her boots, and tried to focus on her laptop. But the quiet tapping of his fingers on the tablet kept slicing through her concentration. Then the lights flickered, and everything went black. Seriously? She murmured. Lucas turned on his phone flashlight. Storm, the generator should kick in soon. I need to review my slides. He held out a portable charger. Use mine. She hesitated, caught off guard. Thank you. You're the one saving my company tomorrow. I can't take chances. The silence returned. Snow whispered against the windows. Laura blinked, exhausted. Do you always work this late? I always have, he said. You sound like me 10 years ago. Now I sleep less and trust fewer people. She raised an eyebrow. That what millions buy? Sleep deprivation and trust issues? A low laugh escaped him. No, that's what betrayal teaches. They talked, not much at first, until the storm outside pushed them into a quiet kind of companionship. He poured her a small glass of whiskey. Just one. She sipped slowly. They talked about music, about childhood, about how both of them had parents who thought their careers were too unstable. He told her about his first startup failing. She told him about building her agency with her car as an office during the pandemic. At some point, their legs brushed. Neither of them moved away. When he brushed a strand of hair away from her face, the gesture was slow. Then he leaned in. She didn't stop him. Their lips met, soft, careful, unhurried. The way someone loves when they believe it will only happen once. What came after wasn't a reckless impulse. It was quiet, intentional. The way someone loves when they believe it will only happen once. No promises, no names whispered, only connection. When she fell asleep, her head on the pillow beside his, the snow had already stopped outside. But the storm inside her had only just begun. The sun didn't wake her. The cold did. Laura stirred beneath the hotel's white sheets, blinking against the dim morning light filtering through the tall glass windows. The blizzard had calmed overnight, leaving a blanket of white beyond the glass. The sun didn't wake her. The cold did. Half asleep, she reached out instinctively, but the bed was empty. The sheets were still warm, cooling far too fast, and without knowing it, that was the moment the story that would change everything truly began. She sat up in a jolt. His side of the bed was too clean. No suitcase, no jacket, no tablet. As if Lucas Cross had never been there. As if last night had been nothing but a snowstorm dream wrapped in exhaustion. On the nightstand, there was only a key card, perfectly aligned, almost elegant in its coldness. No note, no goodbye, just silence. Laura slid her feet to the floor, holding her breath somewhere between disbelief and a bitterness that burned slowly. For a few seconds she stood there while the memories returned in flashes. His low laugh, the taste of whiskey, the kiss that didn't rush, and the way he'd held her like she was something that couldn't be broken. She picked up the card. Room 115. Temporary. Like everything about him. In the bathroom, she splashed cold water on her face. Fogged mirror. And when she finally looked at her own reflection, she didn't see a woman shattered. She saw someone who'd made a choice and now would have to pay the price. Professional mode clicked into place like a well-trained armor. There was no room for feelings. Not today. Laura pinned her hair back, straightened her blazer, and locked her emotions inside some steel vault in her chest. Downstairs, the hotel ballroom buzzed with the kind of energy that smelled like power. Silver trays shining under warm lights. Executives tightening their ties, hurried footsteps over expensive carpet. A massive screen looped the Cross Technologies branding. Smooth animations, cool colors, promises of innovation. Laura walked in wearing a black high-neck dress under an immaculate blazer, laptop in hand, heels steady, eyes sharp, and her heart empty. Lucas was the CEO. He should have been there, but the person who approached was a vice president, an elegant woman named Maureen, clipboard in hand, smile perfectly rehearsed. "Ms. Mitchell," she said warmly, "Mr. Cross sends his regards. He had to leave early for an off-route site visit, but he'll review your presentation personally later this week." Laura blinked slowly, like the words needed time to become real. "He left?" Maureen nodded, already stepping away, ending the topic before it could become a conversation. And then it was clear. No follow-up, no explanation. He'd simply vanished. Laura presented as if nothing had happened. Every slide perfectly timed, every metric ready, every projection sharp as a blade. When she finished, there were applause, compliments, that congratulatory pat on the back people give when they think you won. "You saved the team's image," a client contact said, impressed. "Your pitch became an internal reference. You have real talent." She smiled out of courtesy. Inside, she didn't celebrate, because something had changed, and she still didn't know what to do with it. That night, alone in her own room, Laura sat by the window with her laptop open and a blank document glowing like an accusation. Her fingers typed before she could talk herself out of it. "Lucas, I don't know if you disappeared by choice or if this is simply who you are, but I didn't expect to wake up alone. And now I'm stuck between pretending nothing happened and wondering if it meant anything to you at all." She read it, held her breath, and deleted everything. She closed the laptop like someone closing a door from the inside, then tried to sleep. The nausea came days later, without warning. At first, she blamed stress, back-to-back clients, red-eye flights. But when she started waking up at 4 in the morning, craving absurd things, pickles, apples, food she didn't even buy, she bought a test. Then another, and another, all positive. Laura sat on the edge of the bathtub, hands trembling, chest tight, as if the air had grown heavier inside the bathroom. Are you serious?" she whispered, eyes burning. She wasn't ready. Not inside, not outside, not in any spreadsheet on earth. She thought about Lucas's face that night, calm, controlled, like nothing could get past his skin. And then she thought about the way he disappeared afterward, as if she were a detail, a line erased from a report. Would he care? Would he want to know? Should she tell him? No. She didn't even have his number. And even if she did, how do you say it without shrinking yourself? "Hi," you left without saying a word, and but surprise, "You're a father now." It wasn't pride, it was self-respect. If he wanted to be found, he would have left a trace. Her best friend Maya showed up with delivery food and loud opinions, as always. She dropped onto the sofa and didn't sugarcoat anything. "So you're really going to pretend he doesn't need to know?" Laura stirred her soup slowly, eyes fixed on a place Maya couldn't reach. "I am." Maya lifted an eyebrow. "Girl, that man left you with a memory and a bill to pay. The least he can do is acknowledge the baby he helped bring into the world." Laura shrugged, but it was a tired gesture. "He promised me nothing. He didn't leave a card, not a contact. Nothing." Maya crossed her arms, hurt for her. "So you're going to be a single mom out of loyalty to a ghost?" Laura inhaled, steadying herself. "I'm going to be a single mom because I can, and because I'm not begging for someone's presence." Maya didn't argue. She just grabbed a napkin and pulled Laura into a tight hug, the kind that says, "I'm here," without needing a speech. Months later, Laura left Vancouver and moved to a smaller city, cheaper, quieter, the kind of place where no one recognizes you, where life doesn't demand glamour, only survival. She downsized her agency, took freelance work, put together the baby's room with online tutorials and second-hand furniture. She stopped talking about him, and still, when Olivia was born and Laura looked at that tiny face, the air left her lungs like someone had ripped a truth out of her. The baby had her father's eyes, that rare shade, sharp and unforgettable. And she also had the delicate structure of his features, a line, a fit of the face that wasn't coincidence. Laura didn't need DNA. She knew, and knowing hurt. The birth certificate felt heavier than the small body in her arms. Olivia Mitchell, only her last name. No father listed, no questions asked. The nurse didn't push for a missing signature, and Laura was grateful for that, even as her hand trembled when she signed, not from doubt, but because it wasn't supposed to be like this. The hospital room stayed quiet, except for the hum of machines and the gentle coming and going of nurses. Maya had stepped out to get more baby clothes. Laura asked them not to notify relatives because there weren't any relatives, just her. Her body ached. Her mind felt like glass. But when Olivia shifted and let out a thin little cry, everything else disappeared. Laura pulled her close and whispered against the top of her tiny head, "It's just me, baby. But I've got you. I'm not letting go." The first weeks were brutal. Little sleep, no steady help, no real rest. Laura woke every 3 hours, learned to change diapers with one hand while answering emails with the other, pumped between calls, rocked the baby while editing copy and wiping under-eye circles away with cheap coffee. The world didn't slow down, so she didn't either. Clients started slipping away, not out of cruelty, just quiet. "We need someone with more availability. We're restructuring." And some didn't even have the courage to explain. Laura understood. She had to adjust even if it hurt. She gave up the office, moved into a simple 2-bedroom apartment above a small bakery, sold her car, kept the stroller, and went back to work. Every morning she strapped Olivia to her chest in a soft sling, walked to a co-op cafe, ordered the cheapest drink, and used the Wi-Fi to send proposals, offer consults, and keep her agency breathing. Most days, her inbox stayed empty. Until one email arrived. A tech startup founded by Black entrepreneurs needed a PR consultant for a make-or-break pitch. Modest budget, tight deadline, but it was work. It was a chance. Laura accepted, delivered early, and for the first time in a long time, someone paid on time. And in that small detail, money that showed up, a door that didn't slam shut, something inside her, something cracked and aching, remembered what it felt like to keep going. That night, she bought a used baby monitor and put Olivia to sleep in her own crib for the first time. The room still smelled like new wood and trying. Nothing in it was perfect, but everything had been chosen with care. Not long after, another email came through. Laura Mitchell PR subject, March metrics, strategic deck performance. She didn't expect to see the name Cross Dynamics in her inbox. It was probably just an automated report. Some scheduled send no one bothered to cancel after the corporate retreat. Still, the moment she saw the company name, her chest tightened. She opened it. Open rate, 89% client satisfaction, 92% best strategic presentation of the quarter, and yet, no message, no explanation, no Lucas. Some nights, after Olivia fell asleep, Laura scrolled through the few photos she had from the retreat at the oceanfront hotel. None of him. He was careful like that. Invisible when he wanted to be, but she remembered everything. The restrained smile, the low voice, the way he watched her before the kiss, like he was making a decision he'd promised himself he'd never repeat. Once, holding Olivia in the dark, she whispered, "You're going to be better than he was. You're going to stay." The baby didn't understand, but her mother's voice was steady, and sometimes that's all a child needs. Rent, formula, diapers, heat. Laura built a detailed spreadsheet to track expenses and debt. She created color codes for every client. She started listing local businesses that might need a brand reposition. And in the middle of all of it, her daughter remained the center. Olivia asked for nothing, carried none of the weight. She only smiled, big, toothless smiles, bright enough to fill a room. And somehow, that made everything feel possible again. One ordinary afternoon, a box arrived in the mail. No return address. Inside, a soft baby blanket, a teether shaped like a mini laptop, and a small card, handwritten, "Keep building, continue construindo." No signature, no logo, but Laura knew. She stared at the handwriting for a long time, her heart tightening. He knew the baby's name, which meant he'd looked it up, or someone had told him. Still, he didn't show up. That night, Maya came over and found Laura sitting on the living room floor, the blanket pressed to her chest, silent tears sliding down her face. "He knows," Laura murmured. "And he still didn't come." Maya sat beside her. "That man made a decision when he walked out of that suite. Regret or not, Olivia isn't a mystery. She's a miracle." Laura nodded. But something inside her cracked a little more. "I want to believe in second chances," she said softly. "I want to believe someone like him can change. But until he's standing at this door, I have to keep choosing my daughter, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." She took a deep breath. "Olivia didn't ask to be born surrounded by silence, but I can raise her so she never feels ashamed of who she is." Later, Laura went into the nursery, kissed the baby's forehead and whispered, "You're not what he left behind. You're what he's losing." She turned off the light. Olivia was almost 11 months old when she gave her that look. Not a tantrum, not tears, just a steady, calm stare from her high chair, chin slightly lifted, eyes focused like she was seriously evaluating her mother's decision to offer mashed avocado instead of more banana. Laura froze mid-spoon. She had seen that exact look before, during a presentation rehearsal, when she'd suggested a strategic change and Lucas Cross had simply leaned back in his chair, watched in silence for a few seconds, before saying, "Continue." Now Olivia repeated the gesture, with baby food on her forehead. Laura set the spoon down slowly. "My God, you really are your father's daughter." As Olivia grew, the reminders grew too. She had his eyes. There was no denying that. But it was the traits and habits that shook Laura the most, the quiet intensity, the way she processed before reacting, the steady calm, almost adult. Even frustrated, Olivia rarely cried, and when she did, it was brief, decisive, exactly like him. There were silent mornings when Laura felt like she was raising a miniature version of a man who didn't even know what he'd left behind. And still, she loved her daughter so fiercely, her chest ached. Olivia wasn't a mistake. She was Laura's miracle, proof that even when love doesn't stay, life still shows up. On a warm weekend, Laura pushed the stroller through a local market in New Westminster. Vendors shouted deals. Soft jazz floated from a street saxophonist on the sidewalk. A woman stopped beside the stroller. "Oh my God," she said, smiling. "She's beautiful. She even looks like that tech businessman. What's his name? Lucas something. That reserved billionaire." Laura blinked. She forced a smile. Must be the shape of her face. The woman moved on. Laura tightened her grip on the stroller handle. Little by little, his name started showing up everywhere again. Blogs speculating about his return, anonymous investment updates, rumors of discreet appearances in Vancouver and San Francisco. But he never called, never appeared, never claimed what was obvious. She almost wrote him once. Just a message, just a photo. Olivia in a sweater, clutching a rattle. She deleted it before sending, not out of fear, because she refused to beg. Some nights she hated him for disappearing, for touching something deep in her and vanishing like it meant nothing. Other nights, she missed him, the calm, the contained humor, the way he made her feel seen. She would whisper to Olivia in the dark, "You're better off like this, my girl, I promise." But deep down, she didn't always believe it. At 11 months, Olivia began understanding the world too fast. She opened drawers, sorted blocks by color, shoved objects strategically to reach what she wanted. Smart, uncomfortably smart. Laura watched her drag a chair to the counter and felt her throat tighten. "That's how he thinks," she murmured. "Quiet, strategic, no wasted motion." She hired a photographer for Olivia's 11-month photos. Simple setup, neutral backdrop, light overalls and a white shirt. Curls carefully arranged, a subtle dimple appearing when she smiled. Mid-editing, the photographer paused. "Wow, this little girl has a serious presence, leadership energy, like a mini CEO." Laura just smiled and paid. She framed the photo in the living room and stared at it for long minutes. The resemblance wasn't subtle anymore. "You ever think about telling him?" Maya asked one night, folding baby clothes on the couch. Laura exhaled. "If I ever run into him again, maybe." "Maybe," Maya corrected. "He'll see Olivia first, and not me." Laura nodded slowly. "That scares me." "Why?" "Because I don't know what I'd do if he wanted to take her." Maya's answer came firm. "He won't." "You don't know that." "I know he didn't stay," Maya said. "But that girl is yours. You raised her. If he comes back now, he needs to come back the right way." Laura was grateful, but the fear remained. She started documenting everything. The first laugh, the first crawl, the first time Olivia pointed at the TV when Lucas's name appeared in a corporate commercial. She saved it all, because if he came back, she wanted to be able to look him in the eyes and say, "You didn't raise this girl. I did." The click of heels echoed across the polished floor of the Harbour Exchange Centre in Vancouver's financial district. Laura's steps were steady, confident. In a tailored navy suit, crisp white blouse, hair pinned high, she looked exactly like what she'd become again, a powerful strategist. Even if at night her life was still made of lullabies and diaper changes. She pushed a black stroller, slim, discreet, the kind designed to glide silently through places that cost too much for children. Inside, Olivia sat quietly with a pacifier in her mouth, eyes wide open, taking in the white ceiling lights and towering vertical banners with a calm curiosity, almost studied. She didn't fuss. She rarely did. Laura didn't bring her daughter to most events, but their usual babysitter had gotten sick, and this pitch was too important to cancel. The client was a small black-owned software startup called Brightspeak Labs. They'd spent years building an adaptive language platform for children with speech delays, and now they needed funding, real funding. Laura had shaped the narrative, polished the brand voice, and built a deck that told the truth while selling the vision. It was exactly the kind of work she loved, meaningful, tech-driven, and underdog-coded. She wasn't going to lose it. The event was in Vancouver, in a modern waterfront auditorium, Harbourfront Venture Forum. Glass everywhere, the air smelling like strong coffee mixed with expensive perfume and anticipation. Laura stood beside the founder, Ethan Brooks, a soft-spoken man with restless hands, reviewing the last lines before their turn. "Remember?" she whispered, adjusting his suit collar. "You're not asking for money. You're inviting someone into a revolution." He nodded, nervous but ready. The stage lights dimmed slightly. The presenter before them wrapped up, and then it was their turn. Laura crouched beside the stroller, smoothed Olivia's curls, and spoke softly like a promise. "Stay calm for me, okay?" Olivia blinked, then, with an adorable solemnity, offered her pacifier to her mother, like she was sharing a microphone. Laura smiled. "Thank you, boss." The pitch was flawless. Ethan told the story of his niece, how painful it was to watch a bright child trapped behind silence, and how he'd spent nights coding a platform that would help kids like her express themselves using pattern-based AI. Laura advanced the slides and answered questions like a seasoned strategist. Every hesitation turned into clarity. Every skeptical stare softened into a nod. By the end, the room burst into applause. Investors surrounded Ethan almost immediately. Laura stepped back, took a sip of water, and for the first time in a long time let herself breathe like she'd won a battle. She turned toward the stroller. "See? We crushed it." But Olivia wasn't looking at her. Olivia was looking at someone behind her. Laura. Laura's spine went rigid. The air left her lungs before she could even turn, because that voice, low, steady, unmistakable, hadn't touched her ears since that night in the hotel during the blizzard. Even so, it was carved into her memory like a cut-through glass. Slowly she turned, and there he was, Lucas Cross, impeccable in a tailored black suit, but different. His face still carried that hardness, only now there was something more alive in it, something less sealed off. His hair looked a little longer, a faint beard traced his jaw, and his eyes, the same eyes. Lucas looked at the stroller, then at her. "I didn't know you still did live pitch work." Laura lifted her chin, pulling herself together. "I didn't know you still used fake names." For a split second, almost imperceptible, something in his expression flickered like amusement, and then he followed her gaze to the badge clipped to his chest. Landon Westbrook. Laura tipped her chin toward it. "Bold, even for you." "I use different names at these events," he said. "It's the only way to hear the real story without people performing for the check." Laura crossed her arms. "And do you also have a habit of showing up out of nowhere around women you left in silence? Like that's normal?" He opened his mouth to answer, and then Olivia made a small sound, a soft little hum, and reached her hand toward the leg of his trousers, grasping at the air. Lucas looked down and froze. His gaze lifted slowly, over the soft curls, the round cheeks, and then stopped on the baby's face. It wasn't just the eye color, it was the features, the shape of the nose, the curve of the mouth, the faint dimple when the corner of her lip threatened a smile, as if someone had taken pieces of him and placed them, cruelly, carefully, into a child. Lucas didn't breathe for a moment. He crouched down slowly. Olivia blinked at him, curious, calm, like she recognized something she'd never seen but had always known. Lucas looked up at Laura. His voice broke. "Is she mine?" Laura's mouth tightened. She looked away for a second that felt like an entire lifetime. Lucas spoke lower, like he was trying not to collapse right there. "Why didn't you tell me?" Laura pulled the stroller back slightly, pure instinct. "I didn't know how. I didn't even have your number. And after a while," her voice steadied, sharpened, "I realized you wouldn't care. I would have—" "No," she cut him off, eyes shining. "You left. You—" Her chest rose and fell fast. "You didn't even say goodbye. I woke up to cold sheets and silence. You made a choice, I made mine." Lucas went still. Olivia babbled softly like she was calling them both back to the ground, and for the first time since Laura had met him, Lucas Cross looked unsure, a powerful man without a script. Then he stood. "I want to talk." "Now isn't the time," Laura replied, her control hanging by a thread. "And this isn't the place." He nodded slowly and took a step back, but his eyes stayed on the stroller 1 second longer than necessary, like he had to memorize the reality before she disappeared. When Laura turned to leave, he pulled a card from his coat pocket and held it out. No words, just the gesture. She took it and slipped it into her bag without looking. Lucas whispered, almost like a forced promise, "I'll wait." Later, strapping Olivia into the car seat, Laura swallowed a scream. Her hands shook at the buckle, her breathing short and uneven. He had seen her, and he'd understood instantly. He hadn't asked for proof, hadn't made a show of it. It was pure recognition, and that terrified her more than any accusation ever could. She reached into her bag and pulled out the card. Simple black, silver lettering, Lucas Cross, direct line, no email, no company, just a number. Her thumb hovered over it. She tucked it into the glove compartment and drove away. Laura hadn't planned on sleeping that night. Her body begged for rest, but her mind ran in tight circles. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lucas crouched beside Olivia. His expression, it wasn't anger, it wasn't contempt, it was recognition. She had prepared for this moment for months, and still it hit her like a punch. The next morning, her phone vibrated. Unknown number, no message, no voicemail. She ignored it. She had work, a client, a baby to feed, and thoughts to bury. Olivia babbled in the corner of the room, tapping 2 blocks together. Then she looked up and smiled. Laura's chest tightened. The same pause before the smile, the same dimple, the same man rebuilt inside a body far too small to carry that weight. Laura's office was simple, a 2-room studio converted above a donut shop in New Westminster. Soft grey walls, white trim, brass hardware she'd installed herself. Her desk faced a wide window with a partial street view, power lines cutting across the sky like crooked lines in a notebook. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers, and every bill paid meant Olivia had a roof, milk, heat, and a chance. At 11:14, the intercom buzzed. She assumed it was a delivery. It wasn't. "Hi," a voice came through the speaker, calm, unmistakable. "It's Lucas." Laura's hand hovered over the button to buzz him in. He should have disappeared again. That was the pattern. Why had he come back? And still, she pressed the button. Lucas walked in wearing dark jeans and a blazer, carrying a cardboard drink tray with 2 coffees and a brown paper bag. Laura lifted an eyebrow. "So now you show up bringing a peace offering." He set the tray on her desk. "I didn't want to come empty-handed. I don't drink mystery coffee." He lifted one of the cups. "Yours is black, 1 sugar." "I remember." Laura stared at him. "Impressive." "I work in details," he said without arrogance. "Always have." Laura exhaled and sat. "You have 5 minutes." Lucas didn't sit. He stayed near the window, hands in his pockets, gaze lowered. "I didn't know," he said. "Back then, that night, if I had known." "You would have what?" She cut in, voice flat. "Stayed, texted, claimed me. Please." He flinched a millimeter. Almost nothing, but Laura saw it. "I would have tried," he said simply. "You had your chance to try. I didn't disappear." "No," he admitted. "I panicked. I left before I could even talk myself into staying." Laura folded her arms. "And now?" He lifted his eyes. "Now I'm not panicking anymore." As if on cue, Olivia let out a small cry from the corner Laura used as an improvised nursery in the office. Laura stood, went to get her, and came back with the sleepy baby resting against her shoulder. Lucas looked, and this time it wasn't disbelief. It was admiration, almost reverence. Olivia blinked at him and reached out that tiny hand again. Lucas took a slow step forward. "Can I?" Laura hesitated. Olivia decided for her. The baby leaned toward his chest, little arms outstretched. Laura let go, and just like that, Olivia settled into the arms of the man who had never held her. Not once. Lucas looked overwhelmed. Olivia grabbed his nose. Laura didn't say a word, and for one strange second, silence wasn't a weapon. It was a pause. Lucas stayed for over an hour. They didn't talk about that night in detail. Not yet. Instead, he asked about Olivia's sleep, her favorite toy, what she ate, how she reacted to strangers. Laura answered in short sentences at first, but honestly, she likes stacking things, organizes by color. Lucas gave a small smile. That makes sense. She already figured out how to open a child-locked drawer and nearly knocked over my router last week. He laughed, low and soft. That also makes sense. Laura caught herself laughing once, just once. When he stood to leave, he pulled a small envelope from his pocket. "No way," Laura said as he set it on the table. "I don't want anything from you." "It's for her," he replied. "It's not money." She didn't open it. "Then what is it?" "A protection document, a legal fund. If I die tomorrow, she's covered." Laura blinked. "I'm not trying to impress you," he added. "I'm trying to start where I should have started, by showing up." Olivia had already fallen back asleep on her mother's shoulder. Laura stared at the envelope for too long. She didn't touch it. Then she looked at her daughter and remembered the way Olivia had stared at Lucas at the event, like she already knew where he belonged in her world. Laura whispered, almost soundless, "I don't know if I can forgive you." And something inside her finished the sentence without asking permission, "But I'll let you try." The next morning, he came back. Same time. The same 2 coffees. No flowers, no speech, no demands. Just Lucas in jeans, a black coat, and a steady kind of determination. Laura watched him through the glass door before pressing the button to let him in. She didn't ask questions. He didn't offer explanations. He simply walked in, handed her the coffee, and crouched beside Olivia, already sitting on the office floor, stacking plastic cups like trophies. "Hi, little one," Lucas murmured. Olivia looked up, paused, and smiled. Laura pretended she didn't see that part. This time Lucas brought a small children's book. He didn't read out loud. He let Olivia turn the pages on her own, babbling as she traced her finger over the pictures. Laura finished editing a deck and looked up. Lucas was lying on the floor, not caring about the suit, letting Olivia sit on him like he was a human pillow. Laura tried not to smile. Tried. "Why now?" she asked quietly one afternoon, when he sat across from her and Olivia napped. Lucas looked at her, serious. "Because I don't want to lose this. Not one day, not one moment." Laura sipped slowly. "And when it's not cute anymore? When she's 5 and asks why you left? When she's 10 and asks where you were? I'll answer," he said. "And I'll earn my place, even if it takes years. You can't parachute in and rewrite the past." "I know," he replied, "but I can stay long enough to help rewrite the future." Laura didn't respond. But inside, something that had been locked up for months opened, just enough for air to get in. He showed up every day for a week. He bought diapers the day hers ran out. He took Olivia for a walk in the stroller while Laura handled a client call. No asking for credit, no "look how good I am" face. He set up a second-hand playpen in the office, snapping each piece into place with a patience she didn't remember ever seeing in him, and he didn't ask if he could. He just did it like he was racing time. No declarations, no "we need to talk," no "let's get back together." Just presence. And for the first time in months, Laura wasn't walking through motherhood alone. "So, you're telling me he just shows up?" Maya asked on FaceTime that Friday, wearing the expression that mixed shock with satisfaction. "Every day, same time, like it's his new job, and you still haven't let him sleep there?" "No," Laura said flatly. "You haven't held his hand." "No." Maya narrowed her eyes like she already knew the answer. "And you're not thinking about that night in the hotel?" Laura stayed silent for 1 second longer than she should have. "Okay," Maya said, laughing. "That was a yes so loud I heard it from here." "I'm not weak, Maya. You don't have to be weak, you just have to stop lying to yourself." On the 9th day, Lucas showed up with a small envelope. Inside were printed photos. Photos of Olivia, but not photos he'd taken. They were older images Laura had posted months ago on her old professional Instagram, now inactive, quiet little glimpses. A group photo at a workshop. Laura in the background with a baby on her hip. Another where a stroller was blurred behind an event table. Laura felt her stomach tighten. Lucas spoke softly. like he was afraid of breaking something. I started looking before that event. I think a part of me already knew. I just didn't want to face it. Laura stared at the photos, then stared at him. Why now? Lucas held her gaze. Because when I saw her, it wasn't about proof. It was about fate, purpose. I can't even explain it. I just knew. That same afternoon, Olivia had an epic diaper disaster. Laura froze in the middle of a client call. Lucas was already halfway to the office's improvised nursery. Don't even. Laura lifted a hand, firm. Don't try. You're going to make it worse. Lucas raised an eyebrow, offended and confident at the same time. Watch. 10 minutes later, he emerged from the corner with Olivia in his arms, clean, smelling good, and with the diaper fastened backward, like a tiny abstract art project. Laura let out a real laugh, the first in days. You tried. I succeeded. In parts. Olivia clapped, proud, like he'd just won an award. Lucas gave a dramatic little bow. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't bring flowers. He didn't try to kiss her. But every time he walked through that door, Olivia lit up. And that scared Laura because it meant maybe they'd never truly been strangers. Maybe they'd only been unfinished. The daycare call came around 3:16 p.m. Laura, Olivia has a fever of 39 degrees C. We put her in a quieter room. She's resting, but you need to pick her up now, please. Laura's pen slipped from her hand. Her chest tightened with a panic she knew far too well. No, not Olivia, not her baby. She didn't even close her laptop properly. She grabbed her coat, shoved her phone into her bag and ran down the stairs, skipping the last steps like the floor was wasting her time. The drive to the daycare felt longer than any presentation she'd ever given in her life. When she arrived, Olivia was whimpering in a dim room, cheeks flushed, eyes heavy, forehead damp. The sound she made when she saw her mother, broken, pleading to be held, made Laura's legs shake. She scooped her up and held her tight, whispering into her curls, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. But her voice cracked, and so did her composure. At home, Laura changed Olivia into clean pajamas and laid her on the couch. Cool cloth on her forehead. Thermometer. Again. 38.7 degrees C, still high. The fever reducer didn't seem to be winning. Laura's eyes swept the room like 1,000 alarms were flashing at once. She texted Maya. Nothing. Not yet. She stood there, frozen, breathing too fast, like her body was trying to run without going anywhere. Then came the knock. 3 slow taps. Laura turned toward the door. It was him. Lucas walked in, saw her face, and said only one thing. What do you need? Laura wanted to scream, I need you to disappear so I can stop depending on you. But her mouth didn't obey. All she managed was a whisper. She's burning up. Lucas dropped his bag, went straight to the couch and lifted Olivia with an almost shocking tenderness, like he'd done it 100 times, like his body recognized the motion before his mind did. I'm staying, he said. Laura didn't argue. Lucas stayed beside Olivia all night. He held the cool cloth on her forehead, rubbed her back in slow, steady circles, whispered stories so quietly Laura couldn't even make out the words, yet the calm in his voice made a difference. Laura watched from the hallway, arms crossed over her chest, her heart pounding, her thoughts louder than that. But Olivia was calmer, and Lucas was still there. Around 2 in the morning, Olivia finally sank into a deeper sleep. Laura stepped into the living room with a second blanket. Lucas was sitting on the floor beside the couch, back against the wall, eyes heavy, exhausted in a quiet way. You could have left, Laura said softly. I didn't want to. No one asked you to stay. Lucas looked at their sleeping daughter. No one needed to. Laura sat down beside him. They didn't speak for a few minutes, listening only to Olivia's tiny breathing. That silence felt like it was filling cracks words could never reach. Then Laura whispered, I panicked too, you know, when I found out. Lucas turned his face toward her. Why didn't you tell me? Laura took a slow breath, like every answer cost her something. Because I didn't know what you'd do, and I couldn't risk your response being silence. His jaw tightened, not in defense, in shame. You were right, he said. I was broken. I thought disappearing would protect you from who I was. Laura shook her head slowly. It only showed me who you still weren't ready to be. Near 4, Olivia stirred and let out a sleepy sigh. Not pain, just tired protest. Lucas reached out, adjusted the blanket, and kissed her forehead. Laura saw it. And this time, she didn't stop herself from feeling it. Something real, something steady. Maybe for the first time, she fell asleep right there on the floor, leaning against the couch. Not as lovers, Not as strangers, just two people bound together by a little girl who never asked for perfection, only presence. And this time, he stayed. The fever broke at dawn. Laura checked her temperature for the 4th time in 2 hours. When the screen read 37, Sang-si-si, she let out a breath so deep it felt like it carried months inside it. Lucas was still there on the floor, quiet, with Olivia curled against his chest. Laura leaned on the doorway, arms crossed. "I think we survived." Lucas looked up at her, eyes tired but with a small smile. "We're a good team." Laura didn't answer, but she didn't deny it either. Olivia took her bottle and fell back asleep, this time in the crib. Laura went to the kitchen and turned on the coffee maker. Lucas appeared behind her, strangely still, like he was afraid of breaking the moment. "I should go," he said. "You probably need space." Laura glanced over her shoulder. "You spent the whole night with my sick daughter. Don't ruin that by leaving in some weird way." Lucas lifted both hands in surrender. Okay. Laura slid a mug toward him. "Cream's in the fridge. I'm not forgiving you today, but I'm not freezing you out either." He poured the coffee. "Fair." Laura scrambled eggs in a skillet while he cut fruit. It looked normal, and that was exactly why it felt strange. "Have you always been this competent in a kitchen?" she asked. Lucas gave a half smile. "I grew up with 3 older sisters and a mom who refused to cook. I didn't have a choice." Laura laughed. "That explains the controlling thing." Lucas glanced sideways. "Controlling?" She lifted an eyebrow. "You label the charging cables." He exhaled, defeated. "Okay, fair." The laughter between them wasn't forced. It wasn't loud either. It was the kind of laugh that comes from an old comfort, like remembering something good from a life that got put on pause. While Olivia napped, Laura pulled out a photo album. Lucas leaned in to look. There was Olivia at 2 months old, swaddled tight, little fists clenched. Olivia at 6 months, chewing on a stuffed bear. Olivia last week, gripping a spoon like it was a weapon. Lucas stared at each photo a beat too long. "She has your gaze," he murmured low, like it was a discovery and a guilt wrapped in the same sentence. Laura didn't respond. She turned the page slowly. "Sometimes I wonder if she'll hate me for not telling you sooner." Lucas shook his head. "You protected her. You protected yourself. I left you with no way to find me, and no reason to try." Laura blinked. It was the first time he owned all of it, without trying to soften it, and something in her chest, rusted shut, shifted. By late afternoon, Olivia woke up drowsy, but smiling. Lucas carried her into the living room while Laura plugged her phone into the speakers and put on an old R&B playlist, one she hadn't listened to since college. A familiar song started playing. Laura froze mid-step. Lucas let out a quiet laugh. "Don't waste my time," he said, amused. Laura covered her face. "I forgot that was on there. You were dramatic back then, huh?" "I still am. I just hide it better." Lucas started swaying with Olivia in his arms. Slow. Olivia squealed and drooled, thrilled. Laura rolled her eyes. "That is not a real dance move." Lucas shrugged. "It works." He held out his hand to Laura. She hesitated. And then, she let him pull her in. They moved slowly. Not romantic, not seductive, just free. Olivia between them. Laura's hand in his. Her shoulder brushing his chest for 1 second that felt dangerous, because it felt too good. There were no grand confessions, no sparks exploding, but there was safety, and that was new, maybe even better. That night, Lucas helped with bath time like he'd been doing it for years. He tested the water with his wrist, wrapped Olivia in a towel with care, and made an improvised hood that turned her into a tiny penguin. Laura detangled her soft curls while Lucas made faces to distract her. Olivia splashed water at both of them and laughed, one bright, high giggle that seemed to light up the entire apartment. And then, with that innocent child logic, Olivia reached for both of their faces at the same time, tiny fingers pressing their cheeks until they met. Laura and Lucas looked at each other, forehead to forehead, noses almost touching, for one dangerous second. Olivia laughed and pushed them apart again, like she was organizing the world exactly the way she wanted it. They both fell into a low laugh, surprised, light. Lucas didn't try to kiss her, he didn't try to explain, he just stayed. He held their daughter. He made Laura laugh, and Laura still didn't know if she was ready to forgive him, but she also wasn't ready to lose that feeling. Olivia went down early, 8:15 p.m. Full belly, warm bath, 2 little books, and a lullaby. Laura sang softly while Lucas leaned against the doorway and watched like he was staring at a life he never thought he deserved. After that, the apartment went quiet. No cartoons, no toys hitting the floor, no little footsteps padding down the hall, just the sound of two adults, ex something, maybe future something, breathing in the same space. Laura sat on the couch with her knees tucked beneath her. Lucas sat on the other end, drinking water slowly, the glass nearly empty. "You should go," she said, her voice barely there. Lucas nodded, but didn't move. "You always say that," he replied. "But you never actually send me away." Laura looked at him, serious. "Maybe I don't know what I want." Lucas set the glass down, like the question weighed too much to hold. "Can I ask you something?" She nodded. "That night, before everything, before the disappearing, the mess, before I turned into a badly told story, did it mean anything to you?" Laura blinked, looked down, took her time. "Yes," she said finally. "It did, and I hate that it did." "Why?" Her throat tightened. "Because you vanished, and I had to convince myself it meant nothing, to survive what came after." Lucas leaned forward, like truth required distance to close. "I left because that night felt too good to be real. Because when I woke up and realized I ran. I told myself you were too smart, too grounded, too good for me to ruin your life." Laura swallowed hard. "But you did ruin it." Lucas lowered his eyes. "I know. And for the first time, that was enough." He didn't touch her right away. This time he looked first. Waited. Let her see who he was trying to be in that room, without armor. Laura moved closer. "Not all the way. Just enough. I don't want to do anything out of convenience," she whispered. "And I'm not doing this just because you're sorry. I'm not asking you to forget," he said, steady. "I'm asking you to see who I am now. With Olivia. With you. With me." There was no rush. When they kissed, it wasn't a desperate stumble. It was slow. Like two people who understood trust doesn't come running back. It comes back walking, careful. Laura's hands rested on his chest, feeling the rhythm of his breathing. Lucas touched her face like he was trying to memorize again, not just her skin, but what she meant. And when the kiss ended, they stayed there, foreheads together, breathing the same air. The rest of that night didn't need to be narrated in detail to be understood. Only the quiet certainty that for the first time it wasn't an escape. It was a choice. And when Laura finally curled into his chest, hearing his heart beat like an apology without words, Lucas whispered, "You gave me a gift." Laura lifted her face, confused. "What gift?" "You gave me her, and this chance. And I'm going to spend every day proving I'm worthy of both." Laura wanted to say no, wanted to say love doesn't come back like that. But love isn't a switch. It's a repeated decision. And that night, she decided not to close the door. Not out of guilt, not out of habit, but because for the first time, she could see the man he was trying to become. And maybe, just maybe, she could be part of that. Have you ever had to rebuild trust with someone you still loved? Would you give a second chance or protect your peace? Tell us in the comments. And if you believe people can grow and that some families deserve a new page like this story, share it with someone who still believes in fresh starts. And subscribe here on Hearts Rewritten, because this journey is only just beginning. The next morning, Olivia woke up early, full of energy, ready for war. Armed with a wooden spoon and wearing only one sock, like it was all part of her strategy. Lucas was already in the kitchen, shirt wrinkled, hair messy, eyes softer than Laura remembered ever seeing in him. Laura stayed in the hallway watching. Lucas was trying to negotiate with a baby who clearly believed the refrigerator was a climbing toy. "Olivia," he warned, serious. "If you pull that handle one more time, I'm going to pick you up like a sack of potatoes." Olivia laughed. Lucas sighed, defeated. "You don't take me seriously at all, do you?" Laura folded her arms, smiling. "You're not exactly intimidating before coffee." Lucas turned to her with a half smile. "Neither are you." There was no conversation about who would sleep there, no discussion about what any of it meant. Lucas simply made 2 mugs of coffee and asked where the peanut butter was. Laura handed him the jar without a comment. That was the new rhythm, and it was easy. Olivia chewed her toast while Lucas cut fruit. Laura reviewed a media plan with one hand and fed the baby yogurt with the other. They worked like a team, like a home, like a family, but no one said that word out loud. Later that week they went to a store. Simple stuff, diapers, wipes, baby food. Lucas pushed the cart. Laura held the list. Olivia babbled conversations into a package of wipes like it was a microphone. A woman walked by, looked at the 3 of them and smiled. "What a beautiful family." Laura froze for a second. Lucas didn't miss a beat. "Thank you." He looked at Laura like he was asking a silent question. Laura didn't answer, but she didn't correct it either. Lucas wasn't pretending to be a father. He was becoming one. He learned how to warm a bottle the right way, memorized Olivia's sleepy cues, and discovered, with a precision Laura hated to find funny, the exact corner of the living room where Olivia always handled business like she ran on a schedule. One day, Olivia tripped and bumped her head. Nothing serious, just shock and tears. Lucas was the first to scoop her up, held her tight, whispered something into her ear. Olivia stopped crying almost immediately, like she recognized that voice somewhere old. Laura watched from the kitchen doorway, feeling something tighten in her chest, admiration and fear. Because the more Olivia depended on Lucas, the more Laura did too. "You're different," Maya said during a visit, scanning the apartment like she was comparing this Laura to the version from months ago. "Different how? Like you can breathe again?" Laura shrugged, but her eyes gave her away. "I don't know what we are. I don't even know what he wants." Maya raised an eyebrow. "He acts like he wants you?" Laura hesitated. "Yes." "Then stop trying to label everything," Maya said. "Just live, one day at a time." On a rainy night, Lucas finished changing Olivia into pajamas. Laura watched as he carefully combed out her curls, like each strand was a promise. "She'll probably need a haircut soon," Laura said quietly. Lucas smiled without taking his eyes off their daughter. "Let's not rush that. She looks older every week." Then he looked at Laura. "You do too." Laura frowned. "Excuse me." He blinked quickly, correcting his tone. "I mean, wiser." Laura gave a crooked smile. "Nice save." They laughed. And in that moment, the tension that used to live in the corners of the room disappeared, replaced by a softness neither of them could deny. That night, Lucas stayed again. They didn't make promises. They didn't need to. They just lay down, Laura's head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist, and Olivia asleep in the crib on the other side of the room. It wasn't romance. It was rest. And for Laura, that was even more intimate. He didn't ask for more than she could give. He didn't push. He didn't rush. He just showed up. And for now, that was enough. But what happens when showing up isn't enough anymore? When Olivia asks the question Laura doesn't even dare rehearse. "Mom, is he my dad?" And worse, "Are you two together?" It happened on a Wednesday, a normal afternoon. No special occasion. Olivia played on the floor of the small office in New Westminster. Blocks scattered everywhere. Lucas sat cross-legged beside her, pretending to build a castle, when really he was just handing her the pieces she liked to throw. Laura sat across the room editing the branding for a bakery, eyes on the computer, but her heart flipped inside out when she heard, "Da." Silence swallowed the room. Lucas froze with his hand mid-air. Laura's fingers stopped over the keyboard. Olivia clapped, proud, and repeated it louder, "Da!" and pointed straight at Lucas like there was no doubt left in the world. Lucas's throat tightened. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He looked at Laura, and Laura didn't move, didn't blink, couldn't breathe right. She closed her laptop slowly, stood up, walked over to them, and crouched beside her daughter, who was now holding a block like a trophy. Laura didn't say anything to Lucas. She only kissed the top of Olivia's head and whispered, like it was a secret between the two of them, "You're smart, way too smart." Then she stood and walked into the kitchen. She gripped the edge of the sink with both hands, like she needed that cold steel to remind her body to stay upright. Lucas appeared a few seconds later, moving slowly like he was afraid of cracking the moment. "You heard it, didn't you?" he asked quietly. Laura didn't look at him. "Of course I heard it, and I didn't even teach her to say that." "I know." He took one more step, then stopped at a respectful distance. "Are you okay?" Laura finally turned. Her face looked calm. Her voice wasn't. "No, but I'm staying." Lucas didn't push. He didn't try to fix it with words. Instead, he picked Olivia up, carried her into the bedroom, and sat with her until her breathing turned heavy and slow, and sleep won. Then he came back to the living room. Laura was on the couch, legs tucked in, hugging a pillow like armor. Lucas sat beside her, close enough to be present, far enough not to invade, and he stayed quiet, waiting, until Laura spoke first. She'd never said that word. Her voice came out small. "Not once." "I believe you," he said, steady. Laura rubbed her thumb along the seam of the pillow like it was thinking. "And now what?" Lucas leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I don't have all the answers," he said, with an honesty that hurt. "But I know I want to be someone she can keep calling that. Without me disappearing." Laura looked at him. "You already are." He swallowed hard, like the sentence carried weight. "But I want to be that the right way." Laura sighed, exhausted. There's no perfect way, Lucas. You missed the beginning, you missed her first laugh, you missed so much, but you're here now and that counts. He went quiet, like he was storing every word. Laura took a deep breath, and then she asked what she'd been avoiding for weeks. And me? For the first time, it wasn't about routines, custody, schedules. It was about them. Lucas nodded slowly. I want this. Us. Whatever this becomes, do you want it too? Laura let out a humorless laugh. I don't want to raise a daughter I love with a man I'm still afraid to admit I love. His eyes flickered, and she fell silent, because the truth had already escaped. You love me, Lucas said, like he was testing the ground before stepping. Laura closed her eyes for a second. I loved you that night, she said softly. I just didn't have the courage to call it love after you vanished. He breathed in, deep, like he'd been waiting a year for that. And now? Laura opened her eyes. Now, I don't know. Lucas moved a little closer. Now I'm ready to say it out loud. To you, to Olivia, to myself. No hiding, no running. They didn't do anything that night in the rushed sense of it. But something changed. They stayed on the couch, one on each side with Olivia asleep between them on a pillow. A children's cartoon played softly on the TV, almost like background noise for what actually mattered. Laura stared at the screen for a few seconds and whispered, like she was speaking to fate. Dada, huh? Lucas smiled, tired and happy at the same time. Better late than never. He wasn't Olivia's father anymore just by genetics. He was by presence. And maybe he was becoming something more for Laura too. But if she was going to hand her heart over again, it wouldn't be like the first time. It wouldn't be borrowed. It wouldn't be temporary. This time, she wanted the man who stayed. Laura grabbed her phone the second she woke up. No missed calls, no messages. She turned to the side and her arm met empty sheets. Cold, untouched. Lucas was gone. Olivia was already babbling in her crib, chewing on a little stuffed lion. Laura lifted her gently, but her mind was miles away, spinning too fast. Did he leave in the middle of the night? He wouldn't do that. Not now. Not after everything. She checked the kitchen. No note. She checked the door. Locked. She went down to the garage. His car wasn't there, and the silence burned the way it used to. At 10:17 a.m. her phone buzzed. Lucas, emergency board meeting. Flew out to handle it. I'll call you later. That was it. No, sorry. No, I hate leaving. No Olivia's name. Just cold facts, like she was an item on an agenda. Laura sat on the edge of the bed staring at the screen, and suddenly she wasn't today's strong woman. She was the same girl who cried alone. The same one who held the world with one hand and a belly with the other. The same one who waited for a man who didn't come. She bit her lip, trembling. You're not her anymore, she whispered to herself. You're not her. In the bathroom, she stared at her reflection. No more crying over that man, she said, firm. He said he wants to be here, so he acts like it, or he disappears for good. But her voice broke on the last word, because part of her still feared abandonment. He called that night. 11:42 p.m. Laura answered on the second ring, but her tone was ice. You left without saying goodbye. I didn't want to wake you. You didn't leave a note, not a kiss, not a whisper, just silence. On the other end, he let out a heavy breath. I messed this up, yes, and I'm not saying you vanished, but I'm not letting you make me feel invisible again, Lucas. A long silence. I panicked, he admitted. The board threatened to remove me. Investors pushed. I had to put out a fire before it turned into a disaster. You could have told me. You're right. Laura closed her eyes. I'm not asking to be your top priority above everything, but I'm not accepting being when you can again. Another silence. Then his voice came lower. I know what I've already cost you, but if you give me room to get this right, I'll prove I can show up, even from far away. The next morning, a delivery arrived. Inside, children's books, a soft little blanket and a simple note, written like he hadn't slept. This stayed in the bed. I couldn't close my eyes. I missed your warmth. Lucas. That night, Laura replied with only a few words. Don't run when it gets hard. Run to me instead. His reply came fast. That's the plan, always. This time, he didn't text I'm coming. He knocked. No warning. A soft knock on wood. Laura opened the door and just stared. Dark coat, tired eyes, suitcase on the floor, but his hands were full. Olivia's stuffed lion in one hand and a bag with Laura's favorite pasta in the other. I missed you both, he said quietly. They sat in silence with coffee. Olivia played on the rug, talking to her own reflection in the window. "I hated leaving like that," Lucas said finally. "But I had to prove to them I can lead without falling apart." Laura set her cup down. "And prove it to us? To me and Olivia?" Lucas nodded slowly. "That's why I came back." Laura breathed in, and the truth came out without makeup. "I bled alone. I did everything alone. I put her name on that paper alone." He didn't interrupt. "But I never stopped waiting for you," she confessed. "And I hated that. The fact there was still space for you here." Lucas lowered his head. "You're not the only one who hated yourself for it," he whispered. Olivia pulled herself up using the side of the couch. Laura held her breath. One wobbly step, then another, straight toward Lucas. Lucas let the bag drop and opened his arms. Olivia practically launched herself, laughing, and he caught her with desperate care, like he was afraid of waking up from a dream. Lucas looked at Laura, eyes shining. "Did I miss her first step?" Laura smiled, eyes wet. "That was the first." He swallowed hard. "Then I'm not missing the next ones." That night, Lucas asked, "Where do I sleep?" Laura looked at him for a long moment. Not in the guest room, not on the couch, not like a visitor. He looked like he stopped breathing. "I want us to figure out what this is, Usma, but only if you're here, fully, not halfway." Lucas nodded. "I'm not going anywhere, but we do it your way." Laura answered, firm, "And Olivia's way." In the middle of the night, Olivia cried, teething, and Lucas got up first. No hesitation. He lifted the baby, rocked her, changed her sleeper, warmed the bottle, all in silence, without waking Laura. And in that simple scene, no speeches, he finally looked like the kind of man who doesn't disappear. Laura stood in the doorway for a few seconds, watching without being noticed. Lucas was there on the floor, rocking Olivia with slow, attentive movements. There was no rush, no effort to impress. He wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. He was just being a father. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it touched Laura in a place she didn't think she still had. Later, when the apartment went quiet and night wrapped itself around everything outside, they lay down together. Olivia slept peacefully between them, her soft breathing rising and falling with steady rhythm. Laura broke the silence in a whisper. "Do you want to be a father?" Lucas didn't hesitate. "I already am." She took a deep breath before the next question. "And do you want to be a husband?" He turned his face toward her. Something open lived in his eyes. Not urgency, not fear, but truth. "Ask me that tomorrow," he said gently. "I don't want to give you just a yes. I want to give you a reason you can trust." Sleep came slowly. Olivia snuggled even deeper between them, and Laura let her hand rest carefully on Lucas's chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart. She didn't need promises that night. His presence, finally consistent, was enough. The envelope didn't come by mail. It was hand-delivered. Laura opened the door expecting a neighbor, but instead she found a man in a navy suit, formal posture, neutral expression. "Are you Laura Mitchell?" "I am. This document is intended for Mr. Lucas Cross. I need your signature here, please." She signed without hesitation, not out of trust, out of clarity. Lucas walked in minutes later and froze when he saw the envelope on the table. "Tell me you didn't get involved with her while we were apart," Laura said, her voice cold, controlled. The name on the document was Evelyn Hart, an heiress to an old fortune, a constant presence in society columns, a high-level image strategist, and Lucas Cross's publicly known former fiancé. The notice claimed Olivia's existence put Evelyn's personal reputation at risk. If Lucas did not confirm paternity through legal means, she would file a lawsuit alleging defamation and manipulation of public image. "She wants to make sure Olivia isn't a media play," Lucas said bitterly. Laura took a step back like she'd been hit. "A play?" She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She only said, "You told me you'd ended everything with her." "I had," Lucas replied, "but I didn't erase the past the way I should have. I was weak. I left loose ends. And she thought she still had some control." Laura folded her arms. "And now she wants to pull that thread and unravel everything I built alone." Lucas didn't argue. The next morning, he drove Laura and Olivia to the lab. Olivia giggled in the back seat, completely unaware that a simple swab would officially define what already felt obvious in their bones. Laura held Lucas's hand the entire time. "It's not for you," she said. "It's for her." "I'm not afraid of the truth," he answered. "You're not," she said. "I'm afraid of the circus that comes after." 2 days later, the headline exploded. "Lucas Cross, secret daughter or image strategy?" timeline of former engagement raises questions. Laura slammed her laptop shut. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I ask for you, Lucas said calmly. And still, you opened the door. Olivia crawled toward them, clutching her stuffed lion, an innocent, simple reminder of what was real. Lucas's PR advisor called in panic. We need to control the damage, an official statement, a family photo, a light interview. We can build a redemption arc. Lucas refused. My family isn't a show. He looked at Laura. If you want out of this and if it gets too loud, I'll understand. Laura shook her head. We don't run. We build. That night she asked, if the test said Olivia isn't yours, would you stay? Lucas's eyes burned. Not for 1 second would I doubt it. Because I love you and because I love that little girl. The words stayed between them, not as a promise, but as truth. They decided to throw a simple first birthday for Olivia. Balloons in the backyard. A few people. No exposure. Lucas made one request. No posts. No press. No people who weren't there when she cried at 3 in the morning. And if she shows up? Laura asked. His jaw set. She doesn't get past the gate. The birthday fell on a Saturday. Laura baked the cake with her own hands. Small, shaped like a lion. No theme, no sponsorship. Just family. At 10:42 a.m., an email arrived. DNA results. 99.9999%. Paternity confirmed. Lucas stared at the screen like the world had been rearranged. He didn't cry. He didn't celebrate. He simply handed the phone to Laura. She's mine. Science just confirmed what I already knew. The party had barely started when a black SUV pulled up in front of the house. Evelyn Hart stepped out first. Elegant. Sunglasses. 2 reporters close behind. Lucas, she called. You could have handled this privately. Lucas walked to the gate, calm. Leave. You're not family. You weren't invited. She started a live stream. Meet the billionaire who hides children while preaching ethics. Laura stepped forward. He did the test. The result is right here. Then send it to the press, Evelyn taunted. Lucas's voice dropped. Get off my property now. You're not hijacking my daughter's birthday for engagement. The video went viral within hours. The footage of him protecting Laura and Olivia changed everything. Later, when the house finally went quiet, Laura sat beside Lucas on the porch. I didn't think I'd survive a year of motherhood like that, she admitted. You didn't just survive, he said. You carried everything. She leaned into him. I was afraid you'd choose her. She was always noise, Lucas said. You are strength, and that's what I want to teach our daughter. Olivia shifted in her room. Lucas went in, tucked the stuffed lion beside her, and whispered, You're safe now, because your mother didn't fall, and because I finally grew up. Back on the porch, he said, This family is my legacy, us. The next day, their car rolled down a road lined with pines and mountains in British Columbia. The lake appeared between curves like a calm mirror. No assistance, no schedule, no phone, just Laura, Lucas, and Olivia, sleeping peacefully in her car seat. You look like you left your head back in the city, Lucas teased. I'm trying to believe this is real, she murmured. It is, he said. No cameras, no press, just us. The lake house was simple and quiet, with big windows and a stone fireplace. Lucas carried the bags while Laura lifted Olivia from the car. Olivia reached her little hands toward the butterflies near the water. Laura smiled. This is what peace looks like. Later that afternoon, they unpacked and walked along the wooden deck by the lake, hands intertwined. Olivia babbled in the stroller, watching the lake's reflection. Lucas was different out there. No rush, no tension in his shoulders. No rigid posture, the one Laura had known months earlier. He wore jeans and a loose white shirt, barefoot on the damp grass. No watch. His phone had been forgotten inside the house. For the first time, he looked whole, without armor. Up ahead, a wooden swing hung from an old tree facing the lake. Lucas pushed Olivia gently, just enough to make her laugh. Her giggles echoed through the open space. Light, free. I never imagined something like this would feel so good, he said, watching his daughter. But seeing her laugh, it changes everything. Laura nodded slowly. You're not the same man I met in that hotel room. Lucas stopped the swing and looked at her. I never told you what happened after I left that morning. Laura's body reacted before her mind, her shoulders tightening slightly. I woke up and saw you sleeping, he continued, raw honesty in his voice. And I thought that if I stayed, you'd expect from me something I didn't know if I could be. I always thought love was weakness, that staying meant losing control. He took a breath. But you make it look like strength. Laura felt the impact of those words, but she didn't answer. She didn't have to. I don't want to run again, Lucas finished. Not from you, not from her. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was thick with truth. That night after Olivia fell asleep, they sat outside by the outdoor fireplace. The lake reflected the moon like a still mirror. 2 glasses of wine rested between them. Lucas stood for a moment and returned with a small box made of dark wood. Laura blinked. Lucas. No audience, no spectacle, just me. Just us. He opened the box. Inside was a ring. Simple, old, delicate. Nothing flashy. Nothing performative. Exactly like that moment. You don't have to answer now, he said. Not tomorrow either, but when you're ready, I want you to know. I already am. Laura's throat tightened. She closed the box carefully and laid her hand over it. Ask me again tomorrow, she said, trying to smile. After I drink more wine and pretend I'm not panicking. Lucas let out a low laugh. Deal. They leaned in to kiss when a voice cut through the night. Well, well. Didn't expect to find you here, Laura. They both turned. A tall, lean man in a jacket far too expensive for the setting stood near the property gate. Laura's face hardened. Alexander. Lucas frowned. You know him? Unfortunately, she said. He was a client. And a mistake. Alexander smiled with easy arrogance. You stopped answering my messages, now I get why. Lucas stepped forward. This is private property. You need to leave. Alexander raised his hands, theatrical. Relax. I just came to say hi. Didn't know you were the man she ran to after she left my life. Laura stepped between them. I didn't run. I left when I found out you were trying to destroy my name while you slept in my bed. The energy shifted. Alexander tilted his head. People talk, Laura. Especially in our world. Hope you're ready if this romance ends badly. She folded her arms. If you came to threaten me, you're late. I'm not afraid of you anymore. Lucas positioned himself in front of her. You heard her. Alexander's gaze dropped quickly to the ring box on the bench. He gave a low laugh. Good luck. And he walked away, swallowed by the night. Laura sat back down, hands trembling. Lucas dropped to his knees in front of her. Who was he to you? The first man I trusted with my work and my heart. He tried to destroy both. Lucas took her hand. He doesn't get space in your life anymore. Laura nodded. Not in my fears either. Somewhere inside, Olivia shifted. They walked into the house together without looking back. Later, Laura sat on the edge of the bed. The ring box rested on the nightstand. The lake's calm felt distant after the confrontation. Lucas had stepped outside to take a call, saying he needed air. Laura knew it wasn't only that. She went out onto the deck. Lucas was leaning on the railing, staring at the dark water. I didn't want to ruin the night, he said. You didn't, she answered. I just didn't expect him. The wind carried the scent of water and trees. I wanted this trip to be perfect, Lucas confessed. I thought we could take one step without the past showing up. You can't control what shows up, Laura said. Only what you do when it does. He turned toward her. So, what's your choice? She studied him for a long moment. Before I say yes to that ring, I need to know one thing. Anything. If investors say I'm a problem, if Olivia becomes a headline, do you still choose us? Lucas stepped closer, holding her arms gently. There is no business, scandal, or money heavier than my family. Her voice cracked. Say it again. You are my family. You and Olivia. Laura pressed her forehead to his chest. Then stay. Not out of guilt. Not for image. Stay because you love us. I'm not leaving again, he said. I couldn't. The sky darkened completely above them. Back inside, Lucas placed the ring box in Olivia's crib, beside her stuffed animal. For you to give her when she's old enough, he said, and tell her it was her father who chose. Laura's eyes filled. I don't need a big proposal, she whispered. I need a present man. You have one, he said, now and always. Later, Olivia woke up crying. Laura shifted, but Lucas was already standing. He lifted his daughter into his arms. Shh, Daddy's here. The crying stopped. Laura watched from the doorway. That man wasn't the one who'd left her in silence months ago. He was someone learning how to be better. She stepped closer and placed her hand on his back. You're doing good, she said. With her, with me. I'm learning from you. That night didn't have luxury or grand gestures. It had soft songs, toys scattered across the floor, and peace. Laura wasn't afraid of forever anymore. Days later, backstage at a press conference, Lucas adjusted the cuffs of his shirt. It didn't feel like strategy. It felt like truth. Laura stood beside him, Olivia in her arms, tugging at her earring. I still can't believe you're going to do this, Laura murmured. Lucas kissed the top of her head. If I'm going to be the man you both need, I'm starting by telling the world the truth. The curtains opened. Flashes exploded. Questions. Lucas stepped forward, with Olivia resting on his hip, Laura at his side. They didn't look perfect. They looked real. The murmur of journalists, photographers, and executives filled the room. Lucas stepped forward a few paces. Olivia supported carefully on his hip. Laura followed right behind him, taking her place at his right side, close enough that their shoulders nearly brushed. They didn't look rehearsed, not staged for the camera. They looked exactly like what they were in that moment. A real family. Imperfect. Alive. Lucas lifted one hand. The room's murmur died almost instantly. "My name is Lucas Cross, CEO of Cross Dynamics Technologies," he began, voice steady. "But today, I'm not here to talk about business." He adjusted Olivia in his arm. "Today, I want to introduce my daughter, Olivia Mitchell Cross." The flashes intensified, but Lucas didn't flinch. "And this woman," he continued, turning slightly toward Laura, "is the person who gave me something no professional achievement ever could. She gave me love. She gave me truth. And she gave me a reason to break the cycle of fear I lived in for most of my life." Laura blinked a few times, fighting emotion. Lucas took a deep breath and went on. "Less CEO, more man. I grew up believing leadership was loneliness. That strength meant never showing feelings. That success meant needing no one." He glanced at Olivia, who was now holding the microphone with curiosity. "This little girl doesn't care about my net worth. She cares whether I'm present, whether I hold her when she cries, whether I dance like an idiot just to get a smile, whether I take care of her when Laura is too exhausted to keep going." A few soft laughs rippled through the room. "That's what matters," he concluded. "Not image, not stock, people, family, truth." The applause started timid, then grew until it filled the entire space. Olivia tapped the microphone against the stand, mimicking the rhythm, earning more laughter. Lucas leaned in and whispered to her, "You're stealing the show, little lady." After the press conference, they retreated to a private lounge. Laura kicked off her heels and sat on the sofa, Olivia already drowsy in her arms. Lucas brought a glass of sparkling water and sat beside her. "I meant every word," he said. "I know," she replied, "and that's what scared me most." He tilted his head. "I'm not used to being chosen in public," she admitted. "I've always been the one fixing everything behind the scenes." Lucas took her hand, calm and certain. "Not anymore," Laura exhaled. "And what if this doesn't last?" "It will," he said, "because I'm not going to stop showing up. Not for Olivia, not for you." They didn't kiss. Not yet. But they stayed hand in hand until Olivia stirred. That night, they didn't go home. Lucas booked a suite nearby, not for luxury, but practicality. Olivia was cranky, Laura was exhausted, and none of the three of them was ready to be alone again. In the suite, Olivia finally calmed down and fell asleep. Laura slipped into an oversized t-shirt. Lucas wore blue sweats and a simple tee, more man than magnate. They sat on opposite ends of the couch. "So, what now?" Laura asked. Lucas leaned forward. "I don't know everything, but I know I want you. Not out of obligation. Not just because we have a daughter, but because I fell in love with you. That night in the snow wasn't a mistake. It was the beginning." Laura let out a shaky breath. "I've been protecting my heart." "Me too," he said. "Maybe we can lower that guard together." The silence settled, calm, unhurried. Laura moved closer. Olivia shifted in her crib, but didn't wake. Lucas opened his arms. Laura stepped into them. Morning arrived with soft light and toddler babbling. Lucas woke up with Olivia's little hands patting his face. "Good morning to you too," he murmured. Laura laughed from the bathroom. It was messy. It was real. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like home. Headlines exploded throughout the day. Some said, "Lucas Cross reveals daughter kept secret." Others swirled around Laura, some praising her composure, others digging for any scrap of drama they could find. But none of it mattered inside the quiet suite they shared. "We should get out of the city," Lucas suggested. "Just the three of us." Laura didn't look up. "They're going to keep talking. Let them." She closed her laptop and sighed. "You're serious? You don't care what the board thinks of the Millionaire?" "I'm not a puppet, Laura. Never have been. I've always built things on my terms. That includes my life." She studied him for a second, then nodded. "Okay, 1 week. That's the most I can be away from my clients." Lucas smiled. "Then I'm going to make that week the best of your life." The next day, they traveled to a secluded property. They left the city early, before the day fully woke, until they reached the San Juan Islands. The ferry cut through the water slowly, almost respectfully. Green islands rose around them, open sky reflected on calm sea, and Laura had the clear sense the world had turned its volume down. Like for the first time in a long time, no one was asking anything of them. The house was isolated, light wood, modern lines, facing a peaceful stretch of ocean. No neighbors in sight, no cameras, only the distant sound of waves and the feeling that here no one had to defend themselves from anything. Olivia ran barefoot through the grass. Lucas tended the grill. Laura kicked off her sandals and followed their daughter. They laughed, they fell, they breathed. At night, they watched the sunset wrapped in a blanket. Olivia slept between them. "I was afraid I'd never have this," Laura whispered. "You gave it to me first," Lucas replied, "when I didn't deserve it." A short silence passed. "And now?" she asked. "Now we build whatever we want. Marriage, a home, another baby if Olivia doesn't drive us insane first." Laura laughed, but there was nerves underneath. "You're moving too fast." "Am I?" Lucas said, pulling a velvet box from his pocket. Laura blinked. "Lucas, I'm not asking for perfection," he said. "I'm asking for your yes when you're ready, and I can ask as many times as you need." She didn't open the box. She didn't need to. She just closed her hand around his. "Start by staying. That's what I need today." Lucas leaned in and kissed her forehead. Always. They didn't make love that night to celebrate. Instead, they curled up in the sheets, whispering possible futures, while Olivia made soft little sounds in her sleep beside them. It was enough, it was everything. Weeks passed, Laura's agency found its footing again. Lucas learned how to pack the diaper bag without forgetting wipes. They built routines. The chaos became sacred. One night, Laura stood in the bathroom mirror, staring at a brand new pregnancy test. 2 clear lines. Her heart raced, but she didn't feel fear. This time, she wasn't alone. She lifted the test. Lucas's eyes widened, then lit up. "Again," he whispered. Laura nodded. He lifted her carefully, laughing and crying at the same time. "This time," she whispered, "we do everything together." He kissed her deeply, then dropped to his knees to kiss her stomach. Olivia wandered in, dragging a toy, unaware her world was about to grow. Later that night, Laura wrote in her journal by the window, "I used to think love came after success, after the job, after the house, after I fixed everything in me. But love doesn't wait. It walks straight into the mess and it stays." She closed the journal. Outside, rain tapped softly against the glass, gentle, quiet, just like the night they met. And this time, no one was going anywhere. When someone leaves after giving you everything, don't chase the memory. Build the life they never expected you to have. Laura didn't beg. She didn't break. She raised Olivia, rebuilt her name, and when love came back, it returned with respect, peace, and a second chance. She was the one steering. But what about you? Would you give love a second chance if it came back different, with more truth and less fear? Tell us in the comments. Like this story if it touched you. And subscribe to Hearts Rewritten, where every love gets a new page.